What if the bottle on your shelf holds a secret so profound it could shatter your understanding of reality? Alcohol, known as Al-Kuhl in ancient Arabic, isn't just a drink. It's a relic of alchemy, a shadow of the divine, and a paradox that has ensnared humanity for centuries. This isn't just about intoxication, it's about illusion, spirit, and the soul's cry for transcendence. The word alcohol traces back to the Arabic al-kuhl, meaning the essence or the spirit. But here's the twist. It wasn't originally about drinking. Alchemists used it to describe the purest extract of a substance, the invisible force hidden within matter. They believed this spirit could purify vision, both physically and mystically, revealing truths beyond the material world. Yet today, alcohol does the opposite. It clouds the mind, dulls the spirit, and traps us in a cycle of fleeting escape. Why? Because what was once a symbol of spiritual distillation, a metaphor for the soul's refinement, has become a counterfeit of enlightenment. This is the story of how alcohol went from sacred symbol to spiritual snare. Buckle up. By the end, you'll never look at a glass the same way again. The alchemical origins, from physical to spiritual distillation. Imagine a medieval alchemist hunched over his flask, patiently waiting as liquid transforms into vapor and back again. This ancient process of distillation wasn't just about making spirits. It was a metaphor for the soul's journey. Alchemists sought the quintessence, the fifth element beyond earth, air, fire, and water. They called it spiritus, the hidden life force in all things. When they distilled wine, they believed they weren't just extracting alcohol. They were capturing the very essence of the grape, its spiritual signature. In Arabic, al-kuhl referred to the finest, most sublime powder, used in kohl for the eyes, believed to grant vision beyond the physical. Over time, this term evolved to describe the invisible spirit released during distillation, the ethereal part of a substance that ascends when heated. But here's the irony. While alchemists sought to elevate matter to its purest form, modern alcohol consumption lowers consciousness. What was meant to symbolize enlightenment became a cheap imitation, offering the illusion of transcendence while actually anchoring us deeper into illusion. The great paradox, spiritual longing versus physical deception. Here's the shocking truth. When you crave alcohol, part of you isn't just seeking a buzz, you're yearning for God. Ancient mystics understood this craving better than anyone. The Sufis didn't drink wine to get drunk. They used it as a symbol for divine ecstasy, that intoxicating union with the infinite. Rumi wrote, "Be drunk on love, for love is all that exists." But he warned, physical wine is a false prophet. It mimics spiritual rapture while actually blocking the path to real enlightenment. Modern science confirms this paradox. Alcohol temporarily boosts dopamine, mimicking the bliss of spiritual connection. But then crash. The more you drink, the more you need to drink, trapping you in a cycle that feels like freedom, but is actually a gilded cage. This isn't judgment, it's revelation. That urge to unwind with a drink? It's your soul's misdirected cry for transcendence. But true liberation doesn't come from a bottle. It comes from awakening. The biology of illusion. How alcohol hijacks your spiritual circuits. Let's get scientific for a moment, because your brain doesn't lie. When alcohol floods your system, it doesn't just relax you. It performs a carefully orchestrated deception. First, it targets your GABA receptors, mimicking the effects of deep meditation. That's why the first drink feels like letting go. It chemically mimics the surrender mystics achieve through decades of prayer. But here's the catch. While a monk's stillness comes from within, alcohol forces it from outside, like strapping jet engines to a bicycle. Eventually, the wheels fall off. Then comes the dopamine deluge, the same neurotransmitter activated during mystical experiences. Ancient yogis spent years mastering techniques to elevate dopamine naturally through breathwork and mantra. Alcohol? It steals this sacred chemistry, giving you the reward without the wisdom. Most damning of all, it shuts down your prefrontal cortex, the seat of higher consciousness. In other words, the very part of you that seeks God gets chemically locked out of the conversation. The pineal gland conspiracy. How alcohol silences your inner voice. Deep in your brain lies a tiny, pine-cone-shaped gland, your biological third eye. Ancient cultures, from the Egyptians to Descartes, considered this your direct line to the divine. Today, science confirms it produces DMT, the spirit molecule linked to mystical visions and near-death experiences. Here's what they don't want you to know. Alcohol cripples this gland. Studies show it calcifies the pineal, turning your inner antenna into a useless lump of mineral deposits. Every drink is another layer of static over your soul's radio signal. The terrifying part? This isn't metaphor, it's measurable physical damage. MRIs reveal chronic drinkers have significantly more pineal calcification. That gut instinct you lose when drinking? That's not just poor judgment, it's your spiritual GPS being deliberately jammed. The ancients guarded this knowledge fiercely. Now you understand why temples banned alcohol during rituals they knew it built a wall between you and the gods. Escaping the cycle, reclaiming true spiritual intoxication. The path back to sober ecstasy exists, and it's more powerful than any drink. Ancient traditions developed real technologies for transcendence that don't leave you broken the next morning. Breath work is your first key. The Sanskrit word prana means both breath and spirit, because they knew oxygen could induce altered states. Just 20 minutes of cyclic breathing releases natural opioids and DMT-like compounds, giving you that high without the crash. Then there's the sacred sonic science of mantra. When Tibetan monks chant Om, they're not just making noise. They're vibrating the pineal gland at 432 Hz, the exact frequency that decalcifies it. Your voice is quite literally a chisel for spiritual liberation. Most revolutionary? Darkness retreats used by everyone from Pythagoras to modern Navy SEALs. 72 hours in absolute darkness resets dopamine receptors more powerfully than any substance. This isn't mysticism, it's neurological fact, the ultimate awakening, from addiction to ascension. What if your cravings weren't a weakness, but a misguided call to awaken? The same intensity that drives you to drink could propel you into higher states of consciousness. Consider this radical truth. Alcoholics often make the most profound mystics if they redirect that hunger. Bill Wilson, founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, discovered this when his white light spiritual experience ended his addiction. He later wrote, "The alcoholic is like a displaced mystic trying to find God in a bottle." Modern neuroscience confirms the switch is possible. Neuroplasticity means every time you choose meditation over martinis, you're literally rewiring your reward pathways. Within 40 days, your brain begins craving stillness more than stimulation. The secret? Stop fighting the desire, transcend it. When the urge hits, dive into breathwork instead. That need to unwind becomes a gateway to realms no drink could ever touch. The divine deception. Why this truth has been hidden from you. Who benefits from keeping humanity spiritually numb? Follow the money. The global alcohol industry is worth $1.7 trillion, built on selling counterfeit transcendence. But the conspiracy runs deeper. Ancient mystery schools taught that alcohol was a plebeian substitute for true initiation. The Eleusinian mysteries used ergot-infused kykeon to induce divine visions, reserved only for those ready to handle the truth. Meanwhile, the masses got wine, enough to placate, never enough to awaken. Today's happy hour culture is no accident. A population drunk on illusion won't question reality. They'll keep working, consuming, and scrolling, never realizing they're chasing the wrong kind of intoxication. But you're different. You're reading this because part of you remembers. That stirring in your chest? That's your soul recognizing the truth. The revolution won't be televised, it'll be meditated. Across the globe, a silent army is waking up. CEOs microdosing transcendence through holotropic breathing. Parents replacing wine nights with sound baths. A generation discovering that real ecstasy needs no bottle. Here's your starter kit. Morning sun gazing. 10 seconds at sunrise resets pineal function. The 4-7-8 breath nature's Xanax. Do 4 cycles when cravings hit. Cold plunge alchemy. 3 minutes in ice water spikes dopamine by 250%. This isn't about deprivation. It's about upgrading your highs. The ancients left clues everywhere. Now you hold the map. The question is, will you stay drunk on illusion, or will you answer your soul's call to awaken? The most dangerous thing you can do right now: scroll away and forget what you've learned. But the most powerful? Take one simple step toward your liberation today. Here's exactly what to do next. Smash that like button if this truth resonated with your soul. The algorithm needs to show this to others still trapped in the illusion. Subscribe and turn on notifications. We're exposing more hidden truths every week, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Tag someone in the comments who needs to hear this. Maybe they'll hate you today, but thank you a year from now when their life transforms. The revolution grows in the shadows no longer. Share this video publicly if you dare. Let's make spiritual sobriety the most viral movement of our time. Your ancestors didn't survive plagues and wars for you to stay spiritually drunk. The world needs awake humans. Will you answer the call?